Uh, Today, I have a little story about the adoption of latest technology we have developed at GCP as a standard, which is Java E7, and adoption of JDK 8, and how we produce and create a project in 1.5 months for United Nations to help refugees to get their benefits in Egypt, and as a pilot, then it will be rolled out all the other countries. Today's story it's a little bit, there is some challenges we have faced as a team, as an enterprise architect, and you know that CTO just is so simple, calling you, we have a project and we need to do some stuff, we have to meet with the United Nations guy, but bear in mind, you have a deadline after 1 month. What? This is always the situation in my company because we are working with the government. And most of the application for government, always you have to create it and develop and deliver it yesterday, not tomorrow. So for this reason, we have a lot of experience with large scale projects. And for this specific case that we're going to see how we used the circumstances and our resources, the least resources, to just figure out the enterprise architectures, the high-level architecture, and start to develop the project. Don't waste time. And our experience in the market, this is the best practices and how to develop such applications using the latest technology help and how to tweak the team, this kind of stuff. My name is Mohamed Taman, and I'm an enterprise architect and software development manager. Enterprise architect working with the high-level board of CTOs and CEOs to tweaking the mission and objectives of the company for the other resources, from IT infrastructure, communication, HR, every resources we have to meet our objectives in the company. On the other side, I'm managing a software development team, which has 5 units: R&D, development, QC, design, QA, okay, and systems architect and system analyst. This is our department. We are not very big software. We are not software company. We are services company to provide services for the government. We are operation-based company. So our team is very small, not big. In terms of Java team is 5 persons or seven, and I have 2 of them is left. And the other teams, maybe 2 or 3 members of each team. And the .NET team, it's 7 guys, because I'm working with 2 technologies, .NET and Java technology, and sometimes there is a cooperation between them based on the load and based on the customer, which has sometimes they have Microsoft related product and the others have Oracle or IBM specific Java related technologies. This is the main point. I live in Cairo, Egypt. I'm Java champion and I'm GCP member and work with GCP since 2013, working with many GSRs and adoption of the Java EE7, as I'm EGJAG leader and member of MoroccoJAG also at the same time. I was the first GCP executive committee member joining the executive committee in Middle East and Africa. At the same time, I'm just expert group member of these GSRs. This is a new one. And I love IoT. For this reason, I have written an entire book about this. And you can find me in these channels or just Google for my name and you'll find anything to just contact me and you will get everything about this. I have my blog and I blogged about the latest technology all the time that we have. Little announcement, this is my latest book about JavaFX Essentials. It's not about JavaFX as a technology because there is a lot of books written for JavaFX. It's just about how to write a client-side component that could be run on many different platforms, from mobile to Raspberry Pi, embedded systems, interacting with Arduino, how you can interact with deep motion devices, and at the same time how to develop for desktop and web using the same platform. JavaFX is very excellent for this, so I'm scratching the JavaFX essential, then introducing for each chapter advanced stuff. So you get the idea how to do it with this. This is all about the book. And the other one, the story that I'm going to talk about, this is where you can get the book from. Sorry. I have won the Duke Chase Award for this year. This is the second time on the row for the United Nations project, because of, this GCP award or Duke Choice Award is one of the best recognition by the community. It's you submit your project like an innovation, and they choose it based on how you use and customize the technology and the latest technology to develop something for humanity or something that people can get benefit from. This is our agenda. We are going to talk about the UN WFP, which is World Food Program, and United Nations for High Commissioner for Refugees case, the project requirement, what are the requirements, okay, the project overview, high-level architecture of the project, the problems we faced, the solutions we provided to solve this problem in terms of business and technical. At the same time, how Java helped to achieve these solutions and customize the time, the client-side reaction, and finally how GCP and EC role by adoption and doing some sort of contribution in the GCP and EC help it a lot with the customer facing. So simple. Our main objective is to build a system to help refugees listed under United Nations to get their benefits, either it's food or cash, okay, via secure called card wallets, okay. So you have a credit card likes, okay, and you have to get your benefit from ATMs, from merchandises. So it's in terms of food or cash. These type of systems, we called it subsidy systems. It's subsidy for people. Like when you work with subsidy of fuel systems, subsidy for bread, for example, in our developed countries. So we have to develop this. We developed already a lot of subsidy systems for the country, so we have some knowledge. What is the requirement for the project that we have? We have the tender document that give you the overall about the project, and the other side you have 2 minutes of meeting as a RFP when sitting with them as a high level. So you are proposed your tender documents. So it takes a lot of time to develop. Based on our experience, we are the #1 in the market in developing such a subsidy system, and by 90% we know that we are going to win the tender. At the same time, if it's not costly, because we are going to work with open source projects, open source products to develop such things, so we don't have anything to lose. Just maybe 1 month developing till the tender. So we need to be ready in front of the other customer. This is my thoughts. This is what I have discussed with my managers and CTOs. Because it was very important to the company to get this project to become as a reference implementation, first reference implementation Middle East for United Nations. So in terms of images for the company image, at the same time, this is a big project that will open after that. This is in terms of business. So you have to tweak this to get the project. This is the project overview. We should provide the following services: the registration of refugees, okay, and the core integration with the United Nations programs to get the list of refugees and integrating them, the core calculation engine of the system that will calculate the pointing system for the refugees in terms of money, and pointing system to get their foods. We have the card issuance. We have to produce the cards, personalize the cards, develop the cards. Okay, this is using Java card, for example. And the payment mechanism and the back office support, point of sale, wallet development, at the same time point of sale and ATM acquiring with the other banks, okay, card management, settlement and reconciliation engine, reporting services, integration. All of this we have to provide in 1.5 months. How you could do this? It's not impossible, but Think about, this is your requirement. This is your customer need. It is a big challenge. You don't have detailed system architecture. You don't have even detailed SRSs, software development specifications. You have just a tender with overall the project. At the same time, you have just listening to the customer and minutes of meeting. So think with me how you can do this. Two things you can think about: prioritize your features, okay? At the same time, what features that make your project just up and running without further tweaking? And the other services you are going to introduce is addition to the current one. We have already experience in card management because we working with subsidy system. Okay, we are going to use this block from issuing, from authorization, from personalization, point of sale. Just the points of sale you need to program for the new specification for the wallets. You have the core switch that will deal with ATMs and point of sale at the same time. You have a little bit programming. All of this will cut down the project. But the main web application with integration need to be written from ground. If you are a very big company, sometimes you have libraries, okay, that can help you, like administration libraries, core engine for settlement, for some sort of this. We already have, but you have to tweak it for the new system. We used, so when we draw the high-level architecture of application, this is a high-level architecture. You will find here, this is on the left side, this is a database for the card management and authorization system, synced with our database, which is hold the cases, which is refugees numbers, and each number has a card, and each card had the balances from pointing system or money. At the same time, you have the authorization engine for authorization based on BIN and contacting HCM, and e-finance switch with contacting outside ATMs and point of sale at merchandises that you were making contract with them. And here is the network. This is the government network, and the country network was dealing with any bank ATM at the same time. So any refugees at any place can get the cash from any bank, from any ATM. Either it was for ministry or at either for banks. Internally, we have card issuance system, CIS, and back office team, which is responsible for settlement, reconciliation, recharging back, chargeback, make all the transaction for the cards management, and issuer acquirer bank, because this is the bank that will United Nations will put the money inside this, and there is approval from the United Nations to, okay, we are going to approve these payments finally after calculations. So the bank will release this in the account of the other banks and the account of the virtual account of the refugees, so they can get it from the other ATMs. Finally, United Nations and WFP guys will interact with the system to register as customer, define and configure the wallets, upload the payment file, display the card transactions, monitor card balances, manage card functions like card reissuance, stopping the card, all of this, and viewing transaction and balances report for them. This is a high-level architecture. It's a huge system. The main big problem is time to market, lack of detailed requirement. We need to modify our point of sale system to the new requirement. The card programming lifecycle management, because we have to develop an applet for the card to work on either cases for food or pointing system or cash, should be costless. Why? Because you don't want, you submitting your tender and there is another competitors. So you need to be the lowest price because you have issuing cards. We are going to work on transaction based after that, not the card issuance. So you have to provide very lowest price to these entities. So you have to develop something not costly to you, at the same time to not invest a lot of money, at the same time this is my price as a competitor. At the same time, you have the client expectation, it come to you because you're a very big company, which is affect the company image at the same time. How we solve this? First thing, we will use our experience in card management. We have building blocks. Okay, this we are going to use will depend on the tender as a requirement, as a high-level architecture. So this is high-level component. You register people. Okay, you can search for transaction. Normally, this is the transactions. This is the balances. This is the reissuance. No one can contradict this requirement. This is normal requirement. So anything the customer can think about, we'll leave it to the end. Reporting system will not develop the reporting system. Why? Because you have to request the layout of the report, the requirement of the report, it depends on your customer needs. So the main building blocks, we're looking for the features that not required and not customer needs. This is the basic search criteria. If I have database table, have 5 fields or 6 fields, I'm going to provide the basic 2 fields for search. If you need more, you'll tell me, I'm going to change it, add more search criteria. But basically, you can up and run with this. After that, I'm going to provide new features. So for example, when you start registration, I'm finishing the payment. When the payment time comes, I'm finishing the engine. When the engine finished, I'm completing the authorization. So it's not 1/2 a month. It's actually 1/2 a month for testing and getting the first phase. So they can work with this. They provide changes, and we already do the changes on the other systems, on the other component. This is how we build systems in timely manner for them, because the first impact, we need it in 1/2 a month. All the system, okay, when the payment, after 2 months, okay, when you need to submit the cards after 1 month after registering and the payment, okay, no problem. We are going to work on this. And finally, we build up the basic features so we can make a demo, so they can see the presentation of the card from putting the card in ATM, then acquiring the system, getting the cash. It's submitted to the database. They can view the transactions and doing the cycle. That's okay. That's okay for you? Yes. Up and run, and you can work with your system providing the other features. We will use Java E7 at the technical side. In front-end and back-end services, we'll use Java card for sure for personalization of the card, open source tools and ecosystems that will help for the project to be costless. Most of these benefits we get from the community, because when you participate in the community, you know that where is the technology behind this, what is the problem, where is the features you can provide, what is the problems. You don't need to come to this area, because sometimes the specification not mature enough to provide some features. So you know about this. You don't go to the specification, then you figure out there is a problem in the Java E7 and WebSockets in this area. Because of a contribution, and the guys understand this in my team, because when we contribute, we understand the specification. So we know the limitations, and we know how to use it in the best way. It cut the time. Okay, and we make use of the latest technology of Java E7, which is cut the layers of integrations, cut the layers of architectures. Instead of you have 4 layers, it could be combined to 1 layer or 2. Without delegate and AGB layer and the MVC layer, you can have the controller at the same time, the session bean, at the same time it's an entity bean. And make separation as you like, if it's distributed or something like this. This will cut in time and provide you a lot of time to implement your solutions. Excuse me. How Java help it to achieve? We use Java E7 to provide a strong and robust backend, for sure. Less coding, because everything you have, right, it's configuration by exception. You don't have to configure, just annotate, it will work normally. If you unless you need another configuration for the code. Okay, a new added GSR, we get benefit from this without using a lot of third-party GSRs, because the new GSRs from different vendors need learning curve. Okay, you don't know about the problems. You have to search out how the best way to implement this. And when you contribute and using Java E7, it's already implemented and added to the simple Java E stack or the JDK. We used batch applications and Java E concurrency API. I'm going to see JSMP for exchanging RESTful web services in very easy way. in parsing messages, okay, between the integration, instead of XML and soup-based function, if they provide, so they are open. We have REST, okay, no problem. We are going to exchange JSON messages between different services, and even if we're using the same messages we saved in the database. Batch processing, because of nightly building of the reports, you need this batch. Instead of using quarters or some sort of, it's built in Java, you can write your batch. Okay, when you build the data available, create the report, send it by email. This is batch processing that require a lot of headache, and you don't have to implement all of this to take care about. You can use batch processing for all of this kind of batch processing stuff. We use JavaE concurrency because we have different cards, different transactions you need to work, and previously you can't open new thread inside Java EE context, because if you open new thread, it goes in the other way. It's not in the context of the web, so you can't interact with the web component that the web provide. Java EE concurrency is just a pool of threads in the same context of the web application. So you just acquire a new thread that run in the same context. So you can interact with GSF, you can interact with EGB, you interact whatever the component, the lifecycle managed by the container, not outside the container, on the GVM level. When you're opening, this is the main benefit from Java EE concurrency. We used prime faces because it was the mature implementation of GSF. At the same time, NetBeans has a very great plugin that when you just pointing to tables, it will create for you all the CRUD operations without changing any code, just with the theme, with everything. So you have the basic administration pages and search pages without any headache of the code writing, or do it manually by yourself. At the same time for GBA, at the same time for EGB. It's a normal. Using GSF prime faces as a front end with HTML specification, because we used WebSockets for communication, making chatting programs, and already prime faces support HTML5 generation, so you can write JavaScript library inside your front end to interact with back end, normally with the new features of HTML5. In terms of GDK8, why we switch it to GDK8? Because first time there is uploading for the files. Uploading it for registration file, payment file, and you need to parse, you need to be notified when new files is added, when the report is created. The notification we already done most of the time by Quartz API, but in JDK NIO2, it's provided in JDK7 even, you can use monitoring API for JDK, which is monitor folders. If there is new added files, so it take care and the processing without any interaction. It's normally a normal operation. It's part of the JDK. Also, the new API for file NIO2 provide just reading files. Like if you have a file, text file with content, you just files.read file, passing the file pass, you will get array list of the content without iterations, retrieval of the content, then iterate on them, then create a list. It's just array list. A lot of enhancement done in NIO2. I encourage you to check the NIO2 library, because it's changed the way the dealing with filing system, because at the same time it work on different platform, not specific platforms like Windows. You can by views, you can work and implement the security and implement most of the feature of different platform like Mac OS, Unix, Linux, Windows, many different platforms. We used streams and Lambda. Streams for map reduce and reducing the round trip between the database and the application. Imagine when you need some sort of detailed report and complex report, you need you need to sum the count of transactions, you need an average of transactions, you need a lot of statistics. You have to implement a view to do this, and the core search, and you merge the statistic and implement your report, fit your report to get the final. This is a lot of round trip. Sometimes when you search and customize, you need the same collection you already get 100 record, for example, as a search result. When you narrow in this 100. You don't need to go again to database to get 50 of them. The same. When you narrow again, you get 10. Okay, but it's the same collection. If you get it one time and you have using streams filter, you can filter in the same collection and provide the results without going and back to the database. At the same time, you have the same collection, you can provide the details for the report and making map reduce function on the collection to provide the other content for the report at one time. Did you get the idea about this? Different views from the same collection. You can view on the page, here is the statistics, here is the search result, here is the main summation and some other statistics, whatever you want, filtrations, but from the same collection. Streams, for sure, we use the parallelism features that introduced in the streams, Lambda that make the implementation more easy and performance-wise, it's increased the performance of the applications more efficiently. Also, the application performance, memory management become more efficient because there is no permission anymore in JDK8. The memory become more sufficient, the new garbage collection, a lot of stuff has been done in terms of performance and memory management. We use NetBeans 8.0 or whatever the newest one because it's a reference implementation for the new technologies always, like Glassfish. So we used Glassfish 4.1 because it supports JDK8, and now we are migrating to Weblogic as a production system because it's currently, finally, Oracle has released Weblogic 12.1c that supports JDK8 and EE7. Finally, using Java card technology for card management, and which make Java E7 make a lot of enhancement in JAX-RS specification and JSMP integration with the others through the JAX-RS. After 1 month, we have requested to have a meeting. Then they told us, okay guys, you won the tender, congratulations. And we have to set some meetings so you can get the requirement to start development. Okay, it's when you would like to get the project, okay, it's one after, probably we run out of time, we need it after 1 month. This is because we are very critical to us. Okay, I have raised a little concern. Guys, we already finished the development of all your systems requirement and just would like to demo it to get your feedback and the changes needed to up and run the system. Here's what the client tried. Chuck, how you did this? We told them, just come to our premises, visit us, and we will show the whole demo. And just we were going to sit to get your requirement after seeing the main system features. And if you have any change or any feedback, just to provide it and we can implement it and up running. Currently, we can up and running by this system. They came back to our premises and we have demoed all the system. When I was sitting with the United Nations guy, there is one JAG leader of Congo, it's called Matthias. He told me, I recognized you. Are you member of GCP EC members? Yes. And we were discussing security. There is aggressive discussion against security, against implementation, how you are going to do this, and how you're going to save the data. Is it secured? No hacking about the communication stuff. Is it HTTPS or private, or it's over VPN? How about the integration with the customer, merchandise, all this, you know, it's a third party. And would like to make sure that you're secured their data. And when we finished this, and in the middle of the discussion, when they realized that we are participating in GCP, we are an EC member, we're using the standard. We know what is behind the scene in the implementation. We don't just using the technology, we are creating the technology. We participating. So they told them, this guy won the Duke Choice Award before and won the GCP with his team adoption as a best participant, and I know them, the guys, they using the standard development and just we going to monitor. This is, and this point, our management realized that such contribution is not just wasting of time getting knowledge, it's getting a business and make a reputation for the company by recognizing the people that you are creating the technology. Contribute, you are giving your efforts and giving your opinion, and this is your role as a developer. Contribute, this is what are you going to use, so you have to get your feedback. This is the story behind this United Nations project and how we used it. This is high level story I would like to I'd like it to share with you, because this most of the time we have been asked, share your experience about the project so the people know about how we use the technology and to get the business, not just contribution to get the knowledge, as I have said before. If you have any questions regarding the team, how it's managed, anything, it's open for you. Yes.
You said you have a group of experts in .NET as well in your company.
Yes.
So the question is, why did you choose Java, not .NET? So this is the first question. And the second question is, how many clients do you have at the moment which are accessing your system probably daily, or what's the request rate to your system, and how many servers do you have?
Mm-hmm. For the first part, the choosing of the team based on the load at the same time, and at the other time, you know that Microsoft stuff, it's not open source always, and you need costless application. Okay, the ecosystem that provide an open source and very strong open source ecosystems is Java, and always the client when the standard client they used with building system, they feel like that, okay, Java is more robust as the back-end features, so they will not complain. At the same time, this is the requirement of the project to be costless, and the load of the team. The team is working on fuel subsidy system, the project, and the Java team was free in this. And the main experience about this, also the latest technology and everything we used. This is for the first part. The second part is we have two different parts. We have the back end from the back office and the ATM switch, and this is, you can reach 40 transactions per second hitting on the switch. On the other side, the people just viewing the reports, registering, this is fewer people, but the main concentration on the switch itself, which is built in JDK8. Which was, we get benefit from using JDK8 and a lot of threading enhancement and memory management. So this is the heaviest one, because you know that transaction have a limit time and have a lot of there's a lot of requirement to be served at the certain times because of timeout on the side of the ATM and point of sale system. So you have a lot of refugees. Okay, at the payment time, like pension, like salary, at the payment time, you will reach 40 transactions per second. This is a huge number. So we clustering our systems. So we have at least 2 servers for the heavy loaded one. For the WFP one, which is interface for the back office team and the United Nations team, it's 1 server, because there is no huge interactions. Maybe it reaches 50 people, 60 people, no problem. This is how we thinking about the clustering of the applications and providing services for the customer. Other question? Yes.
Could you please elaborate about your decision of replacing Glassfish with the Weblogic? If the main motivation is actually to get Java EE support, then Glassfish is already supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's still Oracle as the vendor, so there probably
Yes.
something else.
Yes, at the first time, we would like to provide a system that that work for the tender requirement that which is would like to be costless. At the same time, when you goes to the production, we have two things. You have most of the government don't like about open source production, and sometimes we have some problems in Glassfish that we reported, like stacking in thread. I have problem like this. When you reach some limit of the users, you will find the server is stuck. We report this for the community, and they are going to solve it. There is no problem for this. And on the production side, we have to work on the Weblogic because it's more mature. At the same time, it's integrated with the other tools for Oracle as a vendor, because we are vendor already for Oracle, we are vendor for IBM, we are vendor for Microsoft, at the same time for Cisco, for HP, we have different vendor. At the same time, we won the tender, and we need to make the stuff reliable and uniqueness of the platform we're working with as a production, because most of the developed Java EE application works in Weblogic. And already I have two systems like Treasury single account for the country work on Glassfish still till now, because they didn't have problem, because it's a fewer people. It's 7 or 10 people working with the system, so there is no problem for this.
Did you use some technology for clustering? I mean, to implement high availability, maybe Hazelcast or coherence, something like this?
No, we didn't use any something of this like caching, because there is no demanding on the data to be so fast, and you need to cache this data to get it faster than going to database and back, because most of reporting system you get it fewer people with normal transaction. The one that we clustered and provide a very aggressive interaction between both, even we used GDBC connection with the switch and the database. This is we trying to tweak the performance because the concurrent hit of the users. So we didn't use GBA or EGB, just normal GDK, concurrency, and normal GDBC for this. And you can't cache the transaction for the authorization systems. It should be came from the database because the effect and the transaction should goes normally till the end. If it's rolled back, you have to report it and time out the transaction because it's money. Any other questions? Wow.
For ATM, what you using something like Raspberry or something else? No.
No, it's normal ATM machine, which is standard based in ISO 8025. This is the standard messaging system for the ISO, and just we get the message, parsing the message to even JSON message to interact with this, and interacting with the database and convert it back to the ISO standard message for ATM and point of sale to get it back. It's not our implementation, it's the standard implementation for any ATM worldwide or point of sale.
If you had a previous question about Hazelcast and anything else, if you server which do transactions will fail, I don't know, somebody takes out the wire with net, you will fail transactions.
But we have clustered server switch, another switch for handling the concurrent, because we tweaked the switch that you are not going over 40 transactions per second. This is the first thing. And we clustering all of this on the other server.
Okay, thank you.
This is because it's heavy transactions, so you have to bear in mind how to cluster this, because as you have said, if you wire communication problem and from one connection, or sometimes it's failed. So all your transactions, it's become available on the same server. It's in some sort of redundancy because we have one database, so you can get the information. Any other questions in terms of performance? Anything you would like to ask about?
And you have a Dukes Award because of whole project, or you contribute something to open source? I just don't understand.
We contributed in GCP and adoption things, and we use this adoption, and finally the product we have working in with the architecture for...
Okay, adoption for what?
For most of the GSRs, okay, we work with GCP in trying to enhance the GSR till the end of the Java EE 7. So it was the first known implementation project for production using Java EE 7 and Glassfish at that time. So just when we released Java EE 7, we said, here is a proof that Java EE 7 can deliver. Here's the Glassfish implementation. We already developed an application that run on the production, not just dummy application to show the people how the things done working. This is the main benefit of, we know the technology. We know that we can rely on this technology, not just have fun, some sort of demo application. This is the WebSocket, this is the Java EE GSF. No, this is the real implementation of Java EE 7, works on the production.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I see a badge on your laptop about OpenShift. Maybe in future you thinking about something migrating in close OpenShift will fly, also support 1.7.
Yes, yes, for sure. Because I'm trying to see different vendors, and sometimes you are an architect. You are not, yes, I'm working with Java, I'm working with some sort of Oracle product, but you are an architect. You have to find a solution. Okay, sometimes Oracle, there is no support for Glassfish, but it's based on Bayara, for example. Sometimes you will get some benefits from AEP or Wildfly technology. It's in terms of support. So, okay, it's you're much cheaper and you have a great server with the features. Whatever you can choose for your environment, this is based on your decision, the requirement, the client requirement, whatever. And you have to make something like matrix between the products. Okay, I can use Weblogic in this situation. I can use AEP. I can use IBM WebSphere, for example, based on the client already have the technology. So I'm going to work on with the client technology. No, you don't have. Okay, it should be costless. So I can't provide for them. You have to pay support. Then you can move after forward when your application getting grow and grow up. This is the main point.
Did you perform some code analyzing by some auditors to check that your code are safe to work with banks and nothing suspicious there?
Yes, it's United Nations, guys. Like we working with the subsidy program for social solidarity, which is funded from the World Bank. Every month we have a review, the same questions, the same audit, okay, but from different people. So they need to make sure that we have the same words, the same answers, and the deep dive in the code that see everything in terms of filing system, in terms of database design, in terms of the coding, the implementation of the scoring system, everything they have to review, because you know that's they funding you money and would like to make sure that you're implementing the correct software for the ministry. So we have a lot of audit, you know.
And the question is, from deployment perspective, your application was something like one ER file or ER plus WAR file or different modules?
Now for this project, it was an ER file, one ER file. No more questions? Yes.
Assuming that you had more time, like 3 or even 6 months, what is the first component you would implement differently?
Differently. Always when I implement solution, I'm always thinking in database first. Database design. This is the first component. Why? Don't think about the view, about the pages, about how it's going to gain your customer expectation. Just think first about the database design. Implement the business map to database. Why? When you implement database correctly, you just need some pages to fill the database data to manage this and implement some procedures, some transaction-based functions to just manage this data. You already finished the hardest part, how to maintain your data in terms of uniqueness. Even if sometimes you have security requirement that you have to save your file even on the database. So what if I'm linking and retrieving just record and the record has a foreign key? No, you have to separate. There is no direct foreign key because EGB or GBA dependencies will get all this binary data all over the transaction. It will cost the bandwidth, okay, of your network, and you will pay for this. At the same time, the performance. So you have to think about your database structure, normalization. Sometimes not always the theoretical stuff works, how to manage in batch processing, in the status metrics of your field. When you have done, okay, I need the application to manipulate this, to fill the data from this status to this status. The transaction and the procedures need to transfer this data to this form of data with this status. That's it. It will be very easy to implement. The most hardest way, designing the database, in my opinion, for sure.
Thank you.
Which is I work for a lot of projects for this. And this is the best way to implement your project. Think about the database first. You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you for listening and thank you for attendance. Tomorrow I have a session about how to effectively design your RESTful API. It's some sort of, we are going to talk about how to name the APIs and the theory behind how to effectively the process, the steps, and we have a challenge that we are going in terms of requirement and to implement this requirement in terms of URLs that satisfy your requirement, because in the development phase you will find a lot of developers implementing a lot of resource links for 7, 8, 12 resource links. When you are re-architect and think about this, you will find it suitable to be 4 or 3 links, like Twilio. Twilio provide all the services just with the 3 links. If you just think about Twilio business case, you will do it in 12 link to provide the services. This is the main purpose of the talk tomorrow. It will be glad that if you are attending this, I encourage you to do this, because we have, finally you have challenges that we are going to solve together and see how to map everything to the final URLs. Thank you again, and I'm enjoying talking to you.